beer, it's good for you.
Hello and welcome to the video. This is part 2 of my series of videos that gives key information about Foeder use. This video follows on from where we left off on part 1, so if you've not seen this one yet, then I suggest watching it before this one. Let's get started. When part 1 of this series was made, I was still unsure as to which beer style to use the Foeder for first, but I realised that really a saison would be perfect before I aimed the Foeder in the sour beer direction, which is ultimately my intended use. So I brewed a steamy saison, as you can see here. The recipe and details for this will follow as part of my style guides in the near future. With the Foeder already clean, it was time to sanitize it ready for Wort transfer. Steaming can certainly be used, but I opted to use regular homebrew sanitizer at 10 litres in volume, which was poured into the Foeder using the top pour and a stainless steel funnel as shown. I tutted out myself for actually spilling a little bit of this on the Foeder, but no harm done of course. I then did a series of different movements in different orientations with the Foeder to ensure that all internal areas got sanitized. It was good exercise for sure. I then removed the sanitizer via the bottom port with the help of a pump. With the Foeder now ready, I hooked up a counterflow chiller to my brewing system and started transfer with the Wort outline going from the bathroom via the door handle and then down into the Foeder. The end part of this line was carefully cleaned and sanitized on the outside to prevent any potential contamination, as of course was the funnel. As you can see here, I also removed the line from the funnel when adding the various different yeast types that I use for this saison and its co-fermentation. Here is a sneak preview of the yeast that was involved here, but I will be covering this in full in a near future guide to saison. Once transfer was complete, I added this barbed tri-clamp fitting and hose to form a blow-off. Because the Foeder is not suited to pressure, it is vital to have a form of airlock or blow-off fitting whenever there is beer or Wort inside. Personally, I opted for the blow-off route because it is a better fail-safe due to the amount of extra liquid, which is a sanitizer mix. Naturally you can use vodka, but personally I prefer that in my glass for drinking rather than in my blow-off. During fermentation I kept an eye on temperature and humidity to ensure the barrel and yeast were happy. There is no direct way of controlling this, but my home air conditioning system kept a stable enough environment. Once fermentation was complete, I then enjoyed the pleasurable activity of taste testing the end beer to see how the oak effect from the Foeder was progressing. Having an easy way to do this within a Foeder is something that I find very useful. Naturally you are doing this tasting at room temperature without carbonation or in beer clarity, but after some experience of this you will learn a lot about judgments. Part of this is understanding that carbonation pushes flavour, so as such you will not wish to leave a beer within a Foeder for too long, especially at the start of its life when it will contribute more oak flavour quite quickly. Once you have the flavour you desire, it is time to transfer, which I will now demonstrate into a corny keg. Like most things brewing, careful preparation is key. The first steps are to clean and sanitize all equipment, fittings and of course your keg. Within this guide I will not cover the keg, but I do have a guide to this on my channel already, as shown in the bottom right side of this screen. I find this cleaning and sanitization easiest to do within a brewing system with either a false bottom or a grain basket in place. Here I am using a Brewzilla 35 brewing system for this purpose. Because we will be using a pump for transfer, this also needs to go through the same cleaning and sanitization treatment. Having a brewing system with a tap certainly makes this much easier, as you can connect the pump directly to the tap and use it to recirculate your cleaner, water and sanitizer during these steps. This is the ideal port to use for output from the Foeder for transfer, but it can also be used for import also. So as you can see, I've set everything up here. Start off by opening the valve fully to start the flow, and make sure that you can see flow through the pump and out the other side as indicated here before you power on your pump. This is certainly a very important step order for this to work properly. Another important area before you start your pump is to ensure that the transfer hose is at the very bottom of the keg, in a position where splashing will not occur. This is to protect your beer against oxidation. Once you have your keg filled to the desired level, make sure that you turn off the pump first before closing the output valve. You can then close up your keg, and I suggest CO2 purging it 3 to 4 times before considering it dealt with. You should then dismantle, clean and sanitize all parts used in the transfer. Be sure to give the output port on the Foeder the same cleaning and sanitation treatment. I use spray bottles with a container underneath to make this process easy and wife approved. When you do this, I would suggest spending some time with each step to ensure that you have this port squeaky clean and sanitary before refitting its cover. After beer removal from a Foeder, it is important to ensure that it is still at least 2/3 filled with wort, beer or water to keep it hydrated. If you have emptied it and plan to simply clean and store it for an extended period of time, then you should add citric acid to the water at the same dosage that I shared in part 1 of this series. No way was this Foeder seeing just water next though. Shortly after removing the saison, I brewed another beer and filled it to its full capacity. My final use for this Foeder is to use it for sour beer using the Solera method. This is a process where beverages such as wine, brandy or beer are stored and gradually blended, sometimes for many years. In my case, I have a total volume of 58.5 litres that will have 19 litres removed each year for the summer, and then I will replace this quickly to add to the blend. The style of beer that I am creating here is what the BJCP classify as a mixed fermentation sour beer, and my method includes 2 types of lacto, kveik and 2 types of brett. In the next part of this series I will take you through my recipe, full process and methods for what I believe will be a fantastic sour beer given time. I will be combining various different methods of souring and fermentation together to maximise the beer and also the end content. Part 4 of this series and onwards will follow the progress of this Solera sour beer, so there's certainly an awful lot to look forward to of this series in the future. If you are interested in further information related to the Foedersmith product shown in this video, then do check out their website for further details. I have displayed the address on screen now and will also put a link into the video's description. The Foeder type that I am using is actually their smallest at 0.5 bbl. They also offer Foeders for commercial use in size ranges of between 1 to 3 bbl for nano breweries, as well as larger versions ranging from 5 to 30 bbl, which are of course suitable for larger breweries. So if you have an interest in commercial Foeders, then this manufacturer may well suit you also. As always, I have done my very best to include all relevant information within this video and the first part of this series. Despite this, do please let me know if you have any questions relating to this content within this video's comments section. If you have any requests for this series or perhaps for a different one that I have not covered yet, then please do let me know. Certainly there is a real lack of similar content on YouTube relating to Foeder use, Solera for homebrewers, as well as sour beer production in general. Naturally I cannot cover everything at once, but last year I ran a series of 4 different sour beer related videos, and it is something that I am keen to expand on depending on what people are actually interested in. So do let me know. I do hope that you found this video useful, informative and interesting. If so, why not consider liking and subscribing? For further support you can join the channel's Facebook group, and if you would like to support the channel then check out the channel's merchandise store, as all profits go back into the channel. Until next time, happy brewing!